Had a pleasant Monday. It is a very good evening, and today being the 1st of September, I sincerely hope that you've had a good start to the month. Now it is 21 minutes before 7 o'clock, and many thanks to Rukudzo and David Sengu for giving us the daily spot zone. And now we start this program, and it is 9 days to go before the hosting of the country's premier tourism showcase. That is the Slanganai, Kumbanai Tourism Expo, to be held in Manicaland for the first time. Manicaland is home to some of the country's most renowned tourist attractions, including the Nyanga Highlands, Mutarazi Falls, the Vumba Botanical Gardens, the Chimanimani Mountain Ranges and Waterfalls, as well as Chipinge's tea estates, the iconic Birchnough Bridge, to name a few. Now, the expo comes after President Mnangagwa last month launched the Tourism and Hospitality Industry Policy. The 5-year policy, anchored on 6 goals, is expected to facilitate the repositioning of Zimbabwe as a premier tourist destination while providing a campus that will guide stakeholders towards the development of the industry. Now, tourism remains one of Zimbabwe's key economic pillars, contributing around 12% to the GDP, with a contribution of US $1.18 billion in 2024. This year, government is targeting $5 billion in tourism revenue, and the forecast suggests that the country could welcome over 2.3 million visitors this year, to surpass pre-COVID-19 pandemic levels. Now, how will the government achieve and support this growth? To what extent will the recently introduced tourism and hospitality industry policy contribute to the growth of the tourism industry in the country? And what other interventions are there? And that's the conversation we have tonight. Stay tuned.
This is MURIRO on Monday on Star FM. MURIRO on Monday. Brace yourself. It's a hard hat area.
And as rightfully said by Rukudzo, I would like to introduce our guest on the show tonight as we discuss Zimbabwe's tourism industry. I'm joined in studio by Tourism and Hospitality Industry Minister, Honorable Barbra Rwodzi. Minister Rwodzi, good evening, and thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
And as always, we value the contribution of our listeners, so you can be part of this discussion. Our studio phone lines are 0772 162 651, 0714414413, and we are also live streaming on the Star FM Facebook page, so you can be part of our discussion on those platforms. And as always, I will open the phone lines after the news at 7 o'clock. Now, Honorable Minister, just to begin with, to put you up to speed, last year, as we were coming to the end of 2024, we had a poll on the show where we asked our listeners to give us names of the ministers that they thought were the best performers in 2024, and your name topped that list. It was among the top names on that list, so I thought it's something that you may want to know.
Thank you.
All right, and to our listeners, the minister is here, and we hope that you participate in this discussion. Now, it is less than 2 weeks, Honorable Minister, before Sanganai, Slanganani, Kumbanai Tourism Expo kicks off in Mutare for the first time in Manicaland. Could you put us up to speed as far as preparations for that premier showcase are concerned?
Okay, thank you very much for having me, and thank you to all the listeners. We are very, very excited as Tourism and Hospitality Industry Ministry, together with our agencies, Zimbabwe Tourism Authority and Moswatunya. This program or this event is something that we have challenged ourselves with, to say that the president's one of strategies that he has put in place since 2018 to achieve his goals for Vision 2030, going to the SDGs of 2063, would be to devolve the economy of our country, and through programs that leaves no one and no place behind in the country. So we thought, as one of his ministries, with Sanganai, we could achieve his goals, going to every corner of the country, going to everyone in the country, as our country has been God-given endowments across the whole country. We thought we should host Sanganai in every province every year. We must swap to go to all the provinces, the 10 of them. Since we've been in Bulawayo hosting Sanganai for the past 17 years, this is the 18th year for Sanganai, and it will be in Manicaland.
And Honorable Minister, why Manicaland following the move from Bulawayo? Were there any specific considerations that were made?
Yeah, to an extent, yes. Manicaland is our next Victoria Falls. It's a beautiful place that we think if the world knows about Manicaland and what we have in Manicaland as a country, it can be the next favorite place for internationals to visit, but also the next favorite place for our domestic tourists to be visiting. It's a beautiful place. We have good weather there. The landscapes are amazing. It caters for agritourism from Chipinge, cutting across, into Chimanimani, the landscapes. That's holidaying cluster for tourism, and going all the way into Vumba and into Mutare, across to Inyanga, Honde Valley. You can imagine what you can find in Mutare. We have different falls as well in Mutare, which are obviously smaller than Victoria Falls, but very amazing, and we want everyone to know about it, in international tourists and domestic tourists.
Anasamanyika na wasumuriyo ere uko makagamchira say mashoko aya. How are you feeling about the hosting of this premier tourism showcase in your home province? Do come through with your views on 0772162651, 0714414413, and our landline is 660897. Prefix that with 0242 if you're phoning from outside Harare. We are also live streaming on the Star FM Facebook page. What does this mean for you if you're a resident of Mutare or in that part of Manicaland? What does it mean, the hosting of the Sanganai, Slanganani, Kumbanai Tourism Expo for you, and what are your expectations from the hosting of this expo? And Honorable Minister, what are the benefits for Manicaland to host such an event?
Okay, first thing definitely is the growth of their GDP as a province. The whole province, we know they offer tourism facilities across the province, but more so for Mutare as a city. It's going to beautify Mutare. You must, I don't know when you've been to Mutare last, but if you go today to Mutare, the excitement for us is that the reception that we are receiving from the Mutare residents or the Manicaland residents, where they are so eager and everyone is everywhere trying to prepare for Manicaland. We all know that kana pamba pachiuya vaenzi zvichienderana nekuti vaenzi ava vakaita sei tinobata kugadzira nzvimbo dzese dzepamba pedu, so that the visitors will come to a clean place, they will come to a well-presented place. So this is also good for our operators in accommodation sector, whereby most of them have refurbished their hotels, refurbished their lodges, and even their guest houses in preparation of Sanganai. Whichever opportunity would make our operators be forced to do renovations, to do refurbishment. So strategically, it's also one of the reasons why we are devolving Sanganai, because it's not easy to just approach an operator and tell them that your facility is no longer good, it's not looking good. Yes, we have a section for grading in Zimbabwe Tourism Authority, but as a private business, an operator can tell you that, oh, okay, but I don't have enough money to do renovations. But now there's a reason why our operators are refurbishing and concentrating on ensuring that our visitors will have places to stay that are good. So it's also another reason. But the biggest reason is the contribution that this event is going to have in the GDP of Manicaland. People shall eat, people shall drink, people shall sleep. Those are the three key main issues, and it's cutting across all sectors. It's not just in tourism, it cuts across all sectors. Even the fuel sector is going to benefit from this. So we think it's good for every province to have this.
And Honorable Minister, in the run-up to Zimbabwe's hosting of the SADC Summit last year, we saw massive infrastructure development taking place, which remains one of the legacies, key legacies from Zimbabwe's chairmanship of SADC. Are we expecting to see, maybe not to the same extent as far as from a government perspective, the benefits of Manicaland, Mutare specifically hosting and this year's Tourism Expo?
Yes, the government is putting a lot of money in preparations for hosting for Sanganai. So we have, personally, the highlight is the refurbishment of Grand Reef Airport, which was last used in 1980. And now the airport is starting to operate with our very own Air Zimbabwe. Again, there's a reason for now refurbishing this airport and ensuring that it's going to work. The money that the government has put so far and that it will put after Sanganai to ensure that this airport will continue working is a lot. And the reason has been Sanganai, Kumbanai in Mutare. We have Mutare Sports Club that belongs to the government again through Mutare City Council. That is our venue for Slanganai, Kumbanai in Mutare. We have done a lot of work to refurbish the place, to ensure that roads that are leading to this venue have been also upgraded. Those are things that we think Sanganai would do in every province when we move it from one province to another. Refurbishment, upgrading of roads, refurbishment of our old buildings, and to just ensure that accessibility to this province is worked on by government. So it's not just the airport and the internal roads that leads to the venue, but as well as national railways for about 6 years, if I'm not mistaken, 5 to 6 years, there wasn't a passenger train going to Mutare, and now it's back. It's going to start working just a few days before Sanganai with beautiful refurbished coaches that starts from first class, middle class, and but refurbished for the reason that we have a lot of people that will be traveling to Sanganai. But the main objective is to make sure that this infrastructure come to use and continue as we go for an easy access. Because when we chose to go to Mutare and as we go beyond with other provinces, it is very key for our ministry to ensure facilitation for accessibility to these places. Accessibility through roads, accessibility. If I choose to go by air, I must have an aeroplane that goes to Mutare. If I choose to go by rail, there must be a train that goes to Mutare. So it's not like the government did not have these facilities, but why have we been laying back to refurbish or to upgrade and ensure accessibility? So something has to happen. We had SADC in the country, as you rightly mentioned, and taigadzirira vaenzi kuti vari kuuya. And we wanted smooth passage for our visitors. Roads were upgraded, roads were refurbished, and so many things were done because of the SADC. So the same as Sanganai, and why we are taking it to all the provinces. We need to ensure accessibility through upgrading our facilities.
All right, it is 7 minutes before 7 o'clock, and you are tuned to Star FM, sounding good all the time. And I'm joined in studio by Tourism and Hospitality Industry Minister, Honorable Barbra Rwodzi, as we discuss all things to do with the Zimbabwe's tourism sector. And this discussion, of course, is coming after early last month, President Emmerson Mnangagwa launched the tourism policy, as well as Cabinet approved in June, if I'm not mistaken, amendments to the approved the Tourism Amendment Bill 2025. It received cabinet nod, and it proposes the introduction of a tourism council, among other things, to oversee the Zimbabwe Tourism Fund, enhance transparency and enforce accountability. And these are some of the things that we're discussing. Keep your messages coming through. I see them on 0772162651, and after the news at 7 o'clock, I will open the phone lines 071 0714414413. Vana Summers toda kunyanyonzwa kwamuri kuti kuhostwa kweSanganai Slanganani Kumbanai Tourism Expo muguta reKwaMutare kunorevei kwamuri, zvizvemagadzirira, zvizvemakutanga kuona zvinobatika pakuhostwa kwechitiko ichi kuManicaland ikoko kwaMutare. Saka uyai zvekare tinoda kuzwa pfungwa dzenyu panhauriro yatiri kuita negurukota rinoona nezvekushanyirwa nekusimudzirwa kwenyika, Honorable Barbra Rwodzi. Now, looking at the tourism and hospitality industry policy, Minister Rwodzi, it is anchored on 6 pillars or 6 goals. For the benefit of our audience, may you break down what you perceive to be the most urgent among the 6 goals, the ones you think are low-hanging fruits, the main areas that you think need urgent attention, or the pillars that you think will be achievable within the next 5 years.
Okay, thank you very much for that very important question. I actually think all of the pillars are achievable in the next 5 years, but thank you for asking which are the most important or which are the low-hanging. I think the low-hanging for us is the human resources build-up that we have to do. We have a lot of complaints that we get from our tourists in terms of service. When we say tourism and hospitality, the hospitality side of it is the service that we give to our guests, who are the tourists. So, a long time ago, Zimbabwe Tourism Authority used to have block releases programs with universities to train. So we have a lot of our students or children who are very interested in this sector, and they get trained in our various institutions for tourism and hospitality, and universities as well as colleges. However, what we have been lagging behind for the past few years is the skill part of it. The literature, the literacy part of it, very, very good. But the skill part of it has been lagging, which Zimbabwe Tourism Authority has the mandate to do so. So we are putting those programs in place and to address the issues of the service, of the customer service in our sector. I think that's low-hanging. The other one is this infrastructure that we have already started, the physical infrastructure that enables our guests and our tourists to access all our attractions in the country, all the places that we think people should be going. I'm sure right now we have issues with Kariba, whereby now Kariba is slowly getting forgotten because of accessibility. But we thank the Ministry of Transport, who is which is the ministry that is very, very key to us, that enables accessibility for tourism and hospitality industry. So infrastructure is very key for accessibility, which I think we've already started right now, just a month and a half after launching this our policy. It's also one of the pillars. I think these are the most important ones amongst the 6, but also ICT, very, very key. Yeah, it is very, very important for us to have the ICT infrastructure. You spoke about tourism fund, the Zimbabwe Tourism Fund, which is money that has always been charged to the tourists or to the guests. Whenever that you go to any facility for tourism, you pay a 2% tourism levy. We call it. It's a levy. It's the tourist that pays, but they pay to the operator. And that money is supposed to be taken to the government by the operator through this institution or this avenue called Zimbabwe Tourism Fund, which is not really happening. We have some operators that are submitting that money, but we don't know how much it's supposed to be. Why? Because there is no an ICT infrastructure or a program that links government to the operators who are in the private sector. So ICT one, I think by the beginning of the year, if everything goes well with our bill, because now this is a policy that we launched, but now we are putting the bill in place, the act, the actual law in place. Once that is put in place, and we are very happy that the operators, the Zimbabwe Tourism Business Council is supporting us on this one, because they know that the tourism levy that the tourist pays is the money that we should be putting back, particularly to infrastructure. that is more about bulk infrastructure. When we want to have tourism facilities in a remote place, it's that money that is meant to bring the bulk infrastructure in place, like roads, accessibility that I'm talking about, or even when Air Zimbabwe are having their own troubles, we're supposed to be using that money together with them, coming together with our stakeholders to ensure that what things that they cannot or they are not able to do in a certain time, we can also be using that money to help them achieve the goals, and that will speak to accessibility at the end of the day. So ICT infrastructure is also very, very key. So these three among the six are important.
All right, it is a few seconds before we go to the news at 7 o'clock, and I'm joined in studio by Tourism and Hospitality Industry Minister Barbra Rwodzi as we discuss the upcoming Slanganai Kumbanai Tourism Expo to be held in Mutare from the 10th to the 12th of this month at the Mutare Sports Club. And we've heard the benefits from the Minister that Mutare will have from hosting that event, including the refurbishment of the Grand Reef Airport, which was last used in 1980, and Air Zimbabwe has already announced that it will be flying between Harare and Mutare during the Tourism Expo, and it may continue depending on how viable the route is. So please continue to bring your contributions on 0772 162 651 0714 414413, and I will be getting into your phone calls and some of the messages after the news at 7 o'clock. Makaterera kunepvenyuro yeStar FM tokupai now indaba.
Toll-free number, the drug and substance.
FM, Muriro on Monday. Brace yourself, it's a hard hat area.
You are tuned to Star FM, sounding good all the time, and many thanks to Sharon for giving us the news. The news team is back at 8 o'clock with more news, and you are tuned to Star FM. And our discussion tonight, we are spotlighting Zimbabwe's tourism industry ahead of the Slanganani Kumbanai Tourism Expo to be held in Mutare for the first time, and it will be held from the 10th to the 12th of this month. And on the show tonight, I'm joined by Tourism and Hospitality Industry Minister Barbra Rwodzi as we discuss all things to do with tourism, and also spotlighting this premier event to be held in Mutare in a few days' time. Now, you can come through with your contributions on 0772 162 651 0714414413. I see the phone lines already buzzing, and we're also streaming live on the Star FM Facebook page. You can send your questions on that platform as well, and then we pose direct the contributions to the minister. Now, Honorable Minister, there have been issues around. We've heard government talking about improving the ease of doing business, and yet we've had some operators complaining that there are multiple licenses and permits that are required, which they say has created what they describe as a choking regulatory environment. Players have argued that the system is partially responsible for the high prices in the industry. What is being done to ease business for tourism players in this regard?
Okay, thank you very much. I think we are the second ministry that has announced the ease of doing business in the context of cutting down the licensing fees and many other fees that the players pay, particularly when they are starting business in our sector, grading fees, so forth and so on. And averagely, the cutting down is speaking to about 40 to 50%, and with many other licenses being scrapped completely. So I'm sure we have had a lot of calls and a lot of messages that are praising that move, because tourism and hospitality industry is a low-hanging fruit industry that can do wonders to our GDP, particularly when we have lowered down our barriers to entry. Yes.
And would you care to elaborate on the specific fees that were reduced and the impact that you expect this to have on the competitiveness of Zimbabwe as a destination?
Okay, so they are vast. They cut across the whole industry. But maybe I'll put up an example for grading fees, which would start from $400 going upwards up to about 2,000, and some even going up to about 4,000. Grading helps us to know, or it helps the tourist to know, which I'll say it's a very important department in our Zimbabwe Tourism Authority, which tells you as a client that where you are going to stay, it's 2-star, and you know what to expect from 2-star. You know what to expect from 3-star, 4-star. But for the operators to get that grading process, it was proving very, very difficult in terms of paying for it. It has gone down by half, starting from about 150 when it's a guest house, and it goes to about 400 for a lodge and so forth, because the prices were more than 60% to what we are talking about today. That is very, very important. We are having talks with the Ministry of Information, because the other key licensing that has been giving trouble to our operators is for TVs, radios, that they have in their facilities. Every TV pays for a license. So you can imagine a hotel that has 300 rooms, 200 rooms. Every room has a TV. But also the actual registration for the business has gone down to about $20. It's starting from $20 going up, But registration has been very expensive. It has been starting from about $300 going up, depending on your facility. So those are some of the things that we think have been so important. Now we are just charging $20 for any business that registers with us, because it's just for database. Right. And then licensing will be shared between ourselves and the city council, but also it has gone down.
All right. And Minister, there are concerns that unregistered bed and breakfast operators, the B&Bs and lodges that are evading taxes and levies, have an unfair advantage over registered establishments that are compliant. What steps is the ministry taking to identify and regulate these operators to ensure a level playing field while still supporting small-scale entrepreneurship in the tourism sector?
Okay, it's one of the big reasons why we have amended our act through the bill that is coming through. It is very wrong to operate and evade tax and evade other fees that other operators are paying and having such an unfair advantages. So the law will bring everything to sanity. We looked at our current law, and we've seen that and realized that what our current law gives as a punishment to those who operate without licensing, without paying tax, is very little, to an extent that one can just put $200 or $120 on the side to pay every time that Zimbabwe Tourism Authority visits them. So now we will have punitive measures, and to ensure that anyone, particularly the Airbnbs, they are spreading across the country, and we really applaud that. We support them, but we do not support people who want to run their businesses without licensing themselves and without registering themselves, without paying what is due to the government, whilst others are paying. So that act, the new act, will polish and clean up everything. That will be most probably beginning of the next year.
All right, so it is 7:15, and the phone lines are open for your questions or your contributions. 0772162651. That's also the number to send through on our WhatsApp. 0772162651, 0714414413, and 660897, and prefix that with 0242 if you're phoning from outside Harare. Now, Honorable Minister, tourism in Zimbabwe must also be geared towards attracting locals, ensuring ensuring that when households decide to go on holiday, they consider local destinations as their first choice. Generally, locals regard regional or international destinations cheaper than or more affordable than our local destinations. What are the current statistics on domestic tourism uptake? And as the responsible ministry, are you satisfied with those figures? But before you respond, I'd like to take some call. Star FM, good evening.
Good evening, Masana say.
Maswera umapinda mchirongwa taura izvenyu.
Ndinotenda. Ndansida kubvunza honorable minister. Sori ndakuita kunge ndakubuda munyaya asi iri nhau zvayo yetourism maererano neguta redu reHarare. Aminoti vane pavanokwanawo here kuti guta redu ringe rakachena because rakasvika guta redu ndochikumbiro chandinacho.
Alright, tinotenda chaizvo nekufona kwemaita. Tichavapa mukana wekuti vange vachipindura. Asi rambai muchiunza nhare dzenyu pa 0772162651 0714414413 kana kuti 660897. Honorable Minister, mungade kupindura hanzi takatarisa munopinda papi seminister asirega titori zvakare mumwe muteereri. Star FM, good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. You're through to the program.
Thank you very much. I've got a question for the Honorable Minister. I've got two questions.
Go ahead.
So the first one is on my events I am waiting, like the HIFA. What is the ministry doing to bring those events back? Then secondly, I wanted to find out what is the ministry also doing in terms of reducing costs of local tourism? Because if you do the calculations, for an average family, it's cheaper to go to Cape Town than it is to go to Victoria, for example. The prices are very high. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that contribution. So the minister is taking note. The first question was around the cleanliness or lack thereof in the capital city, Harare. What role does the ministry have as far as ensuring that our cities, our towns are clean as far as promoting or enhancing brand Zimbabwe? The second question was around what the ministry is doing around festivals such as HIFA that also brought tourists into the country, as well as the question I think I had asked before we started taking calls, Honorable Minister, around the strategies that are there to improve domestic tourism. And as the last caller has said, vanhu vakazoita macalculations vabata calculator vanotoona kuti kuenda kuCape Town kunogona kunge kwakachipa than kuenda kuVic Falls, kuenda kuZanzibar. You'll see a lot of posts by Zimbabweans vari kunana Zanzibar, not as much as we would want to, not as much as we see when we then look at our domestic destinations. Star FM, good evening.
Hello, Maswera.
Maswera mapinda mchirongwa.
Atida kuti titende vanhu ministry nekuunzawo chirongwa ichi kwakutari. Asi ndandoda kubvunza kuti ministry ichakwanisa kuzotibatsirawo especially paNRS tapo kuti iwo efficient. Nekuti chinhu chacho kuti vanhu vasanyanyise kukwirawo chitima nyaya efficiency also nekungoitawo rehabilitation yeremera.
Alright, tinotenda. Imi muri mugari wekwamutare?
Ndiri mugari wekwamutare.
Tinotenda chaizvo. Muri kupiko kwamutare?
Tinokwa kuBob House.
Alright. Tinotenda chaizvo nekufona kwemaita. All right. So we'll allow the minister to respond before we take our next round of questions. So the first one around the cleanliness in Harare and other cities and towns. What is the role of the ministry? How do you collaborate with local authorities or the Ministry of Local Government and Public Works, under which my local authorities fall? Munere chamunotaura, do you ever say in MURIRO anenge akaita maguta edu, then wechipiri wema festival anenge vana HIFA ikunza vanhu munyika, ministry hanzi iri kuitei pakudzora zvirongwa zvakadaro, then nyaya yecost domestic tourism, what is the ministry doing to ensure that we have more locals visiting our tourist destinations? You can respond, Minister, before we take our next round of calls.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll start with the cleanliness for Harare. Yes, Harare is our capital city, and it is a huge concern for us as the Ministry of Tourism and Hospitality Industry. Tisu tinoda kutochemera kuti nyika yedu igare yakachena kuitira vaenzi pavanosvika tisava nekunyara. So yes, through the president strategy for whole of government approach, we are forced, whether we like it or not, to work together as ministries to ensure that every program that a stakeholder within your ministry is partaking, you participate. This is why us as tourism, we were given the task for beautifying the cities. And we started with Harare. We're still very small, to be honest, because of budget constraints. But we started with Harare. If you look at the airport road, it's Ministry of Tourism and Hospitality Industry that is working on the beautification of that road. But otherwise, it's also our task and our responsibility to ensure that that the city is clean through our the programs that we have to do together with the city councils, local government, and even RDCs, because we also have attractions within the RDCs. For example, in Manicaland that we are going, Inyanga is an RDC, Chipinge is also RDC. So we work together, definitely so.
There was the question around the festivals such as
Yes.
Haifa. What is the ministry doing kuti tinge tine mitambo yakadaro yakawanda inoita kuti vanhu vange vachishanyira nyika yedu?
Okay, so our ministry was separated to be a standalone ministry just in 2023, which is soon to be 2 years ago. We have a lot of things that we've been looking at to ensure that we start to have a smooth movement of our ministry and our programs and projects. So yes, Haifa is one of the events that has to come back. It's definite, it has to come, but of course time has moved since we hosted Haifa. A lot of things have changed, so we are looking into all those things. But first things first, we need to ensure that do we have connectivity, do we have enough accommodation, and is it up to standards? All those things are things that we are looking into. So we are just 2 years into being a standalone ministry, and I promise that Haifa and many other events that used to be hosted in our country, luring a lot of international and domestic tourists, must be coming back. It's in the pipeline, definitely so.
And then the issue around the local tourism,
Yes.
boosting domestic tourism.
Yes, yeah. That is, it's an elephant in the room, of course. And like I said, I think maybe let me first say it is important for all of us to know what is defined as domestic tourism. Very, very important. So the bigger part of it, of course, is the travel, going somewhere from anywhere in the country, traveling within the country from your place of where you stay or where you live to another. But it doesn't mean that you go there and spend the night or to go there and spend the day. Just visiting any place and buy food. Cooked food. Yeah, you are a tourist, you are an arrival wherever that you are going. People have to know that. And maybe to tell them that domestic tourism is the biggest contributor to our tourism sector, more than the international, because we are all used to thinking that international tourists, or when people are flocking into the country, wachipinda nendege ndo ma tourist, it's in various way of definition. But I know the actual question that is being asked is about traveling to one place in the country to another, and even accessing the place that you want to go and see. And we are trying by all means, Linda, we are pushing by all means to ensure that mazimbabweans azvigoni kuva muzimbabwean, whether uri munomnyika kana usiri munomnyika, wodai woita even kusvika pa 18 years usina kuziva Victoria Falls. Yeah, it's because of affordability and connectivity as well. This is why we are using whole of government approach to work together with the Ministry of Transport to ensure that Grand Reef, I'm just giving an example, Grand Reef Yagadzirwa, it was actually Grand Reef for the refurbishment and renovation of Grand Reef was done by funding from tourism, not from Ministry of Transport, but we're just using whole of government approach. They have the expertise. the engineers and so forth. But we all know that transport is big projects that they are putting up in the country. But we have put our own money as tourism to ensure that vagari vemuno munyika vanokwanisa kuzowana ndege nzvimbo yekusvikira nedzindege. We have come together with Air Zimbabwe. I'm sure you see as we progress into 2026, you see a lot of improvement. Our intention is to partner with Air Zimbabwe to make sure that we can run the airline, or we can run aircrafts anongotakura vanhu with a break-even costing, so that everyone can afford to go to Mutare, to go to Victoria Falls, to go to Masvingo, to go to Kariba. Vashika ikoko, we are saying licensing is reduced kuma operators yedu. Kana musingachabhadhari mari dzakawanda kuhurumende, zvakurevawo kuti pricing model yenyu yakufanira kudzikira, so that vanhu vanokwanisa kuachiva kupinda. Nemutemo watatu uya uri kuuya uchamanikidza kuti kana iwewe takugredha kuti lodge yako, guest house yako, hotel yako is 2 star or 3 star, mari yaunofanira kubhadharisa vanhu munzvimbo mako imari yakati, zvoiswa mumutemo. So kana munhu akawanikwa akuchajawo zvakapfurikidza, ozikanwa kuti uyu munhu akubira zvese makastoma edu nehurumende. Izvozvo zvichaita kuti vashanyi vedu vemuno vatinoti domestic tourist zvivaitire nyore. Tinoona kana chikafu chaicho dzimwe nguva chemuhotera chinodhuriswa chaizvo zvekuti ukaenda kune dzimwe nyika the same food inenge ichichaja zviri low. We are working together with our operators kuti panonyanya kukuomerai ndepapi chaipo pekuti ndiro yenyu yebreakfast inoita mari yakawanda kudai kudarika same plate of breakfast when you're in South Africa, when you're in Zambia, when you're so zvavainyanya kucomplaina nezvazvo ndizvo zvizvi zvatakurapa izvi zvema licensing fees nema grading fees nezvakawanda twavanochajwa mubusiness ravo. So we are expecting kuti once all this is done, maprices otsikirawo, nekuti dzindege kusvika kuti munhu adrivewo kuenda kuVictoria Falls, iko zvino mugagwa kuVictoria Falls is being fixed. Vanodawo kudriver vodriver kunosvika kuVictoria Falls mune zvakanaka, vosvikawo nemhuri yavo kana vasingagoni kukwira ndege. But vanokwanisa kukwira ndege vakwirewo nemutengo wakanaka unoita kuti vasvike ikoko kwaMutare kana kusvika kuKariba zvakanaka, kwete kuti vangobva kwavabva ndo vega vanongoziva Victoria Falls, ivo vabva kunze kwenyika. So we are really working hard on that, and we think next year will be a better year for us going into 27.
Right, let's take some more calls. Star FM, good evening.
Hello, Star FM, Masquera.
Masquera mapina mchirongwa taura zvenyu.
Thank you. Linda, ndoda ku-address our Honorable Minister issue ye marketing of our tourism attractions around the country, particularly vana Vic Falls nana Wanga. Inini ndakambogara South Africa sometime, you would find a visitor kuya ku Cape Town, but iye akatomarketerwa kuti as package yako yekuya ku Table Mountain ku Cape Town, there's also Vic Falls. Not I talking about maybe Vic Falls is part of South Africa or what. I think we are not doing well in terms of marketing. Let us market our tourist attractions so that people can actually fly direct from Yemen, in their numbers, but if Zimbabwe Koko, you can actually stay there. Not good one. I know we are Livingstone, the other side of like Zambian side. Kwedu kuchungo uya muna chungo na falls maybe for a few hours atozogera. So it can either be issue yema cost or issue yema marketing. I think we need to improve issue of market and tourist attractive. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that contribution. Let's take another caller. Star FM, good evening.
Yes, Linda.
Magasimba ere.
Ndakasimbisa unogona chirongwa chako chakanaka.
Tinotenda chaizvo mapinda muchirongwa taurai zvenyu.
Minister munofara
Ipo makadi mukoma.
Muri huche minister rambai makadzvanya. Titende.
All right, we thank you very much for that word of encouragement. Star FM, good evening.
Hello.
Hello, yes, you're through to Star FM.
Yes, I've got a suggestion. Manicaland used to be called the Switzerland of Zimbabwe. I would like to ask the minister how far they have gone in terms of marketing with the Switzerland embassy. And Manicaland is in the east of the country.
All right. nhare yedu yadonha, asi ndofunga tanga tanzwa kwangu vachida kuenda nenhau yavo ende zvinenge zvinobatana nemuteereri anga abva kuti marketing. Ini ndiri mwana wekumanicaland uko ndinobva nepanyanyadzi. Honorable Minister, when you visit Chimanimani kwemambotaura nezvazvo, Nyanyadzi falls under Chimanimani district, ukaenda ukanoona vana Tessa's ndingirikene the bridal veil kuchimanimani in Chimanimani National Park, there's a sense yekuti we are not doing so much enough to market our places. So you could respond to that, but let me take 2 more calls and then you can respond all at once. Star FM.
Star FM
taswera wamapinda mchirongwa.
Aiwa, tinotenda. Regai titi kuna Honorable Minister. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Zvamuri kuita zviri kuonekwa. And also thanks very much on Vic Falls, Lower Vic Falls Road. Yeah, yakatanga yokugadzirwa because even tourism tanga tabatikana from Harare to Vic Falls kwangusafambike. That's my suggestion. Thank you very much.
Aiwa, tinotenda chaizvo. Star FM.
Linda, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. You're through to the program.
I'm all right. I would like to applaud the minister for the efforts she has exhibited so far. She has done well. But I'll tell you that the reduction of fees does not warrant a reduction of prices in our hotel. We've got a whole lot more. I know the minister knows this. We've got a whole lot of some other things that we probably need to look at so that prices will come down. Zimbabwe is naturally a very high cost economy. And look, we have not spoken about disaster. We have not spoken about water that is supplied by the local authorities. We have not spoken about labor. We have not spoken about the cost of maintaining hotels. So there's a whole lot more that the minister still needs to look at so that he can then start saying to players, can we then look at price reduction? But like I said, she has started well, and if she keeps her feet on the ground, we will probably get there. But as of now, it's just too early to speak to players to start reducing their prices just because they reach some rates. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that contribution. I'll take my last caller on the show so that we can then respond and conclude. So, Honorable Minister, those are the contributions. Maslasha zvenyu by half, but pane mamwe ma-cost drivers anosanganisira nyaya zesa where most of these my establishments are running on my generator. Star FM, good evening. This will be our last caller for the night.
Hi, thank you. I'm back. I like the response, the Honorable Minister, on the cost of travel. Thank you very much. But I also wanted to give a pointer. Why is it that we are not appreciating our own Zimbabwean influencers in terms of tourism? We find that the guy who put TikTok on the African Finder is now an ambassador for the South African tourism, but he's a young Zimbabwean who's actually marketing Zimbabwean restaurants, Zimbabwean places. Why are we not giving spotlight to the people that are also marketing our own places? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, but thank you for that contribution. So yeah, the phone lines are still buzzing, but we must allow the minister to respond as we come to the end of the show. Samanzwa issues pane marketing yataurwa, pane cost drivers anosanganisira magetsi, vamwe vachirana nemagenerator, and you can imagine uri muhotera pauchati aircon, pauchati giza remvura inopisa, pauchati zvakati zviri kubikwa zvacho. How are you addressing, looking at this 360, a holistic approach to addressing the issue of cost drivers in tourism sector?
Okay, thank you very much, Linda. Probably allow me to answer a caller who asked about NRZ, continuity and efficiency.
Yes.
Well, I think we forgot to look into that. NRZ will continue to operate after Sanganai, and efficiency, I think this time around is going to be much improved, because what they started to do when we had conversations as a whole of government approach about it, they fixed the rail itself. From Harare to Mutare, they fixed the rail itself. They fixed that, and then they fixed the the train itself as well. So we don't think there would be anything that will hinder the efficiency and the continuity of the movement of the train. If anything comes up, we'll be there together with NRZ to make sure that everything is fixed to the standard that efficiency is applied to the operation of this. And then marketing of Victoria Falls. Well, let me say, we used to think that it's bad that South Africa markets Victoria Falls until we realized that it's actually very good. It's okay, let them market. And these guests anyway, tourists, when they leave South Africa to come to Zimbabwe, they still realize this is what, when we warmed up to that, we then started having surveys with the tourists to ask, how do you find Victoria Falls? And of course, some of them say it's so beautiful. We didn't know it's in Zimbabwe because passport yake inongodindwa anyway kana kupinda Zimbabwe. My South Africans, when they market Victoria Falls, when they started to do that, it's because the world has moved to that. Akusina mshanyi anoda kuuya kunjimbo ku region. Let me speak like this, into a region. So when I'm saying region, coming to Africa or to Southern Africa and just visit one country, vanoda kuenda apa ne apa ne apa yoitwa package. So South Africa yakatanga kuona kuti Victoria Falls is beautiful. How about to combine it with our own attractions? You can go to Durban or you can go to Port Elizabeth, enjoy Joburg, and then go to Cape Town, spend 4 nights in Cape Town, and then go to Victoria Falls. They were increasing kuti avavatenge. But the end benefit of it, when people come to Victoria Falls, they are in Victoria Falls anyway. That money inoverengwa kwatiri suse Zimbabwe. So we cannot block South Africa, neither Zambia. We then thought, let them continue. And this is how Victoria Falls has been known more. Whilst we are doing our own strategies, we have now sent 11 tourism attaches in our embassies who are now marketing everything that we have in Zimbabwe. And vashanya ava vari kutoziva zveVictoria Falls. Now when they come back, maybe a year after or 2 years after, tiri kuona vachidzoka, according to our survey, vakudzoka vakananga kuVictoria Falls first. So there's nothing wrong in them knowing Victoria Falls by mistake or by default, and then knowing that Victoria Falls is in Zimbabwe. We cannot be arrogant about that. We just thought, let it be, and then we do our own ways of them knowing kuti ndekwedu kuno ku Zimbabwe. So we are trying by all means. Isusu, we are smaller than South Africa anyway, and Zimbabwe is and South Africa is well in advance. It's an advanced country and a developed country, so their sectors are bigger than ours. But unongotambira mduze, momo chitambira mduze, kusvika wadi wakura. This is the attitude that we have brought about the marketing of Victoria Falls by South Africa, neither by Zambia. Zambia takangobvumirana kuti mimi we share the most beautiful woman in Africa. Which is Victoria Falls. It's very beautiful, one of the 7 wonders. But this beautiful woman, Zambia, imemunotengesa the back side of the woman, and Zimbabwe sells the front side of the woman. It is what it is. Let's leave it there. So tinotowirirana. Come isusu kantotauro because totozoti vanoda kuona both sides. Vakuda kuona both sides. Hatichaiti zvekuvharirana zveshe. So we are together with that. Chero vauya ende munhu akauya anozoprova asvika panzvimbo kuti kwakamunakira ndekupi, and Zimbabwe is proving to be the best side of Victoria Falls. Cost of accommodation ikoko I can't remember abvunza nezve cost of accommodation kuti what was exactly the question, but let me go to Switzerland to say Manicaland is our you know what, it's coming back to be our Switzerland, and we shall sell it that way. But we need to get our things right first. Tiri kuavoida kumhanya, tomhanya wanika hakuna ndege yanga ichimhara ikoko. Now that tane ndege inozomhara ikoko, tombofamba ka toona kuti tinosvika kupi nethis reo yedu yofamba, mugwagwa wedu onaka, and then ikoko kwachona kwatine maoperators edu, accommodation yedu get up to standard, totanga zvedu kushambadzira kuti come to this little. But you have seen it with Jeremy Clarkson when they were shooting their Top Gear. Akaparidza kuti this is heaven when he was in Honde Valley, and we are are equally doing the same, but to call it our Switzerland, the name is there, and we shall be speaking likewise. And thank you for contributing that way. And yes, Bridal Vows or Wataura, Linda, we have so many places. Chimani, this do marketing yacha tukuteyo ine Sanganai. We are showing my buyers anova kunyika dzakasiyana siyana. Many countries are coming. More than 12 countries are with their buyers are coming in the country. But how do they know if we don't host such events in Manicaland? Vachatenderera for a week. Varukutanga, I think on Thursday. For the whole week, they will be going around Manicaland in every place. Kuti vazive ndo vanonodzokera vakunomarketa vachicreata mapackages ayaya that I spoke about. So we are hoping kuti this marketing strategy will work besides the ordinary that we are always doing on social media. And when we go out of the country, we preach about all our provinces with the attractions that are endowed in them. And then reduction of prices, reduction of fees does not apply to or warrant to reduction of prices. I think I stand to disagree a little bit. It does contribute to reduction of prices. It does. And like what our president is always saying, step by step, stone upon stone, tirukushika ikoko. How are we getting to reduce my costs, my bills for ZESA? This is United Nations, it's not even Zimbabwe, that is encouraging our operators to go green. But what is key is to ensure that is there funding available for them to go green. So it's even also in our act, in our new bill that is coming up, that operators must go green so that water heating. Kana mumba mencha emolinda, giza ndori notora magetsi akawanda. So imagine the water heating system at a hotel, at a lodge or at a guest house. It pulls a lot. So we'll be encouraging kutitite masola in our facilities so that we reduce the bill of ZESA. We cannot, pane zvimwe zvatinozoona kuti takutouraya government ka. Tikada kuti zvese katai, though we know that this is a lot that we are doing through the Ministry of Finance, and we thank Minister Mtuli vakatinzwa tese kuti tinema issues anonetsa ma sectors edu, but we cannot go across and say water handing my balls. Let's go to the boreholes. Let's help you. Isusu chatakuita as a ministry is to ensure that pangawanike funding is easy for our operators to access, so that vanoita ma solar systems, vanoita ma boreholes, kuti hurumende isareo iri pairi hatingazongo close everything. Labor issues, we can best in class practices is telling that kuti our labor issues, our labor costs in our sector in Zimbabwe is playing plus or minus murenji yakanaka Linda. So zvinhu zvaticharamba tichingotaurirana tichingokurukurirana until we get there. We shall get there. Zvataurwa namukoma kuti reduction of fees does not warrant the reduction of prices, but we know that it does to an extent, but it doesn't shut that. Saka isusu tiri kuti kana zvadzikawo iwe unongonodzikisawo mbijana tichingodzikisawo mbijana tichangosangana kusvika zvanaka tichingotaurirana kusvika zvanaka. It's not easy, but we're going to achieve it. Chinongodiwa ndechekuti vanhu vari kunzwisisana here, vanhu vari kuonesana here, ngatingoramba tichingoonesana tichienda mberi. We know kuti mari inonetsa pamarket, and isusu it's our business and it's our concern and our mandate to facilitate issues zvokuti vawane mari for this new infrastructure that we would be asking them to put up to save electricity and to go borehole water systems. And then influencers. So yes, it's very true. We want to have our local influencers to be marketing our destination Zimbabwe. Very, very important. We have many of them that we have approached. But I'll tell you, my sister who asked this question, that the prices that end up being asked hatisati kukwanisa kudzibhadhara. I will give you an example of one influencer that we thought he would do wonders for us wherever that he is. He's into sport, and he asked us for 3 million a year. But vamwewo vanovakwanisa. So kana talent richiita kuti vambonoshanda zvavo vari kumwewo, it's okay. Isu tichigadzisa zvinhu zvedu hatisati tasvika pakukwanisa kubhadhara mamillion for an influencer. But vanoita zvatinokwanisawo hatinoitawo navo. Isu hatishandi neany international, no, tinoshanda nevo vari local vedu ivavo vanodawo kunge vachibhadharwawo zvishoma. Aiwa, hatisi kuramba. But kana zvinoenda kumamillion nekuma thousands akawanda tinoitakurirwawo, asi tichasvika zvedu tinozokwanisa kubhadhara vana vekwedu kuti vamakete nzvimbo yekwedu. I think ndazama kuresponda. Linda, thank you very much.
Aiwa, Honorable Minister Mazama, and I'm sure this issue yema-influencer matsanangura vanzwa nekuti chakaona ichitrend hysteric pa social media kuti say zvakati zvisina kumbenge zvaitika zvisina kuitika. So thank you very much for that response. And as we end the show, Honorable Minister, tichada kuti muzopa mashoko enyu kupedzera kune especially vari kuManicaland kwaMutare. Stakeholders have welcomed the fee cuts but still worry about policy inconsistencies or whether such reforms will be fully implemented on the ground. From a policy and enforcement standpoint, how will the government ensure that these reductions in fees and levies translate into tangible relief for tourism operators and that the operating environment remains predictable and investor friendly going forward?
Let's be positive. Let's be positive and have trust that a lot of things have changed in the past 6-7 years, and let's just trust the system that it will be consistent. From my point of view, from where I'm sitting right now as the Minister of Tourism and Hospitality Industry, let me tell you that this is going to be consistent, and we really want to ensure that our tourism sector is affordable. Our tourism sector is easy to run as a business because tourism is a low-hanging fruit in the contribution to the GDP. So zvese izvi zvinofanira kuti zvitoitika zvirambe zvakadaro kuitira kuti GDP yedu irambe ichincrease. It's not in the best interest of government kuti tivharidzire zvinhu zvedu kuzosvika pakuti tiite izvi tazviona kuti masectors anogona kuitwa izvi neizvi ndeapi kuti tirambe tichiwana mari senyika. So consistency of the policy is going to be there. Well, the policy that we launched is for 5 years, right? So we know that for 5 years we are going to be consistent using the same policy. And then, of course, my licensing fees, it's also going to be moving together with this 5-year term. But remember, we are saying Zimbabwe inofanira kuva at a certain point by 2030. Kuredusa nekuda kuti tiachieve magoals tikuda kuachieve the goal vision 2030 ya president ndo zvatiri kuzviitira kunyanya. Saka there is no way that we then say next year tachinja aiwa tazodani aiwa tadani. And we're very happy that this is all coming from the Ministry of Finance and Investment Promotion. Ndo vari kutoti kuza kuti hande ngatite basa tourism pamuruda kubasirwa ndepapi kuti zvinhu zvifambe zvakanaka, agriculture ndepapi, mining ndepapi. So we think this is going to be consistent and it will reap results.
All right, and as we end the show, Honorable Minister, how many exhibitors, local and international delegates are we expecting to participate at this year's Slanganai, Slanganani, Kumbanai Expo, and your parting words, especially to the people of Manicaland?
Okay, maybe I'll start with my parting words to say, ndisandakanganwa wanasamanyika Kumbanai irikuya tinokudai, tinoda kufara pamwe chete nemi, tiuye kuzosumudzira mabhizimusi enyu nekuti mimi muonewo kuti zvakanakira chi kunyika yekwenyu. So we are very happy to be coming to Manicaland and hosting Sanganai, Slanganani, Kumbanai Tourism Expo. We are looking forward to having a big one in your area. But also let me say, tinema exhibitors who are international. When I'm talking of exhibitors, I'm talking of stands. My stands, all in all, they are now 390 that have been booked, and 3/4 of that have been paid for. International buyers that will be coming, which means companies that will be coming into the country, about 8 and 9 at where we are right now, to come and see what Zimbabwe can offer, which our exhibitors will be offering or will be displaying and exhibiting during this fair. We also are expecting about 2,000 to 3,000 delegates to be attending this event.
Honorable Minister, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you very much for coming through, and we certainly hope that we will have you in future shows as you shed more light, and we look at back at Sanganai, Slanganani, Kumbanai.
May you allow me, Linda, to invite people to Beshnaf Bridge
Yes,
On the
please.
13th, we'll have a big bash in Beshnapfrisch. Please come to the beach party. We'll have a beach party, but also on the 12th evening, it's also another big party that we'll have. This is why most of us are anticipating more than 3,000 to 5,000 people will be coming, because this party in Umtare are very important, and we are having a lot of inquiries about them.
Awesome. And the phone is still buzzing, but yeah, the minister will be back. She has assured me that she'll be back with more updates. And this month, the month of September, we are calling it on MURIRO on Monday, the Ministers Edition, where we'll invite our cabinet ministers to come and shed a light on issues under their portfolio, their purview. So let's make a date again next Monday from 6:35. I am Linda Muriro, and Honorable Minister Rwodzi, thank you very much for coming through.
Thank you, Linda.
Until next time, it is goodbye for now.
You've been listening to